Let's go to the next paragraph. Audio-visual aids. Audio-visual aids. Now, if you're teaching the program yourself, you have the ability to do that, by the way, in your Soul Winning Director's Guide, which is the burgundy binder inside of the bag when you pull it out and look at it. There are teaching aids in there, and if you'd like to, you could teach your way through every one of the 12 sessions. However, if you're using the Operation Go program, Dr. Wood teaches through video lessons also. We've explained that to you before, but I just want to let you know that if you'd like Dr. Wood to teach by way of video, you simply push play. It's very simple. He covers all the bases. He deals with philosophy and training, and he gets a lot of the things that most of us haven't yet covered in our training and in our soul-winning emphasis. And so if you want to teach the club yourself, and you're just really excited about the opportunity to teach people in this club, let me encourage you to let Dr. Wood teach you by video so that you can then teach others, and you'll have a much better understanding of what you need to cover in each and every one of the weekly lessons. So if you're teaching yourself, you're going to need an overhead projector, or you're going to need some kind of a dry erase board or something. But if you're teaching by way of video, then, of course, just push play. Have a nice large television there. Don't have a little teeny, 13-inch screen. Make sure that you've got a screen big enough. We recommend using one of these LCD projectors and going from your VCR and plugging it into the LCD projector and then showing it up on a large screen so that enough people can see it and hear it, and make sure folks can hear it very good also and can take good, solid notes in their handbooks. All right, the director should feel free also, continuing in your notes here, the soul-winning director should feel free to hand out soul-winning helps to the trainees, which can be added to their notebook and to their personal library. As a soul-winning director in your church, you need to understand that you're going to be mentoring people. You're going to be working with people, and people need to hear from God. They need to hear blessings. They need to be encouraged. And so I want to encourage you in your reading that you come across great soul-winning examples. When you're reading and you come to a good article in a magazine, or you come to a good website that deals with soul winning, hey, download some information or photocopy the information and hand it out to these folks and say, listen, I want you to read this week. This was a blessing to me. I hope it will be a blessing to you. And they can add it to their personal library and to their trainee notebook. It'll be a blessing to them. Let's talk about now preparing the room. Preparing the room. It goes without saying that the meeting room that you're going to meet in, the meeting room you're going to have your Operation Go video sessions in, your Operation Go club in, the meeting room should be bright, well-lit, colorful, and clean. Let me give those to you again. It goes without saying that the meeting room should be bright, well-lit, colorful, and clean. Colorful and clean. It should be readied in advance with a correct number of seats. Correct number of seats. And a chalkboard, coffee table, etc. There should also be a speaking rostrum at the front, much like this, or a podium, or a lectern. There should be some sort of a speaking rostrum at the front, and of course the TV and the VCR as we're using the video lessons. So understand that. Also continue the refreshment table. We're talking about preparing the room, and the refreshment table should be at the back of the room and should allow plenty of room for fellowship during the break. Make sure the refreshment table is not in the front of the room, but in the back of the room. And it should allow plenty of room around it for fellowship during the break. That way, if somebody wants to go get a donut during the training, which some of us do, maybe you're thinking about a donut right now. Wait till the end, you can do it. But when you want to go get a snack or a cup of coffee or something, they don't get up in front of the screen and stand there while the training is going on. They go to the back of the room and they can get what they need and come back to their seats without disturbing very many people. So the refreshment table needs to be at the back of the room and have room for fellowship during the break. In other words, continuing on with your notes here, in other words, the entire meeting should be, and write this down, the entire meeting should be thought out in advance. Write that down if you would. The entire meeting should be thought out in advance. Why? Obviously, so that the meeting will start on time and will run efficiently. If you say you're going to start at 8 a.m., guess what time you need to start? 8 a.m., not 8:10. What will happen is you'll have your latecomers that come and know it starts at 8, they get there at 8:10. If you start at 8:10, guess what time they're going to get there? About 8:20. So when you start a meeting, you start it on time, and those who've been late, man, they'll begin to kind of work their clocks ahead a little bit. Tell them to turn their watch ahead 10 minutes. That'll get them there on time. Amen? But the entire meeting should be thought out in advance so that the meeting will start on time and will run efficiently. If the club is to maintain the integrity that it is designed to have, the members need to see that the leaders have prepared in advance for each session. In advance for each session. They say that you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. First impressions are so important. What would happen if the first time you run Operation Go, or the second, or the third, or the 10th, or the 100th time? What would happen if the very first week these new trainees, these new recruits come into your class and it's not clean, the floor's not been swept, there's not tables set up, there's not enough chairs, and the TV and VCR are nowhere to be found, and there's no snacks, and if there are snacks, they're stale, or the coffee's cold, or it's old, or something. I mean, think about the atmosphere. You don't get a second chance to make a good first impression. If you make a bad first impression, it's going to affect the attitudes of all those that are in there. So let them know that you thought this was important enough to have prepared for it in advance for each session.